Libra, dear heart, everything they owed you is already on its way back, and this time, heaven itself is watching over you. You're not imagining the signs. You're not making it up. You're not chasing shadows. The truth is simple, luck is finally on your side, and this message, this very video, was guided to find you for a reason far greater than coincidence. Let me ask you something right at the start. Have you been giving, loving, supporting, forgiving, and wondering when your time to receive would finally come? If that stirred something inside you, then don't move. You've arrived at exactly the right place, at the exact divine moment. Welcome to Zodiac Whisper Tarot, a sacred space where spiritual messages aren't just read, they're felt, absorbed, and lived. And this one? This message has your soul's signature all over it. You see, Libra, I believe there are no accidents in timing. And I know deep in my spirit that your name has been spoken in places you can't see. There's a divine record being reviewed. Your prayers, yes, even the quiet, exhausted ones, have been heard. This is more than a horoscope. It's a return. A spiritual compensation. A long-awaited restoration. The cosmic scales are balancing, and for the first time in a long time, you are no longer the one who has to keep giving without return. As someone who's walked beside shadows and light, you've chosen love when bitterness was easier. You've held your peace when conflict called. And now, that energy has circled back to you, wrapped in divine justice. This reading marks the moment when you step into what was always meant for you. Not out of luck, but because heaven has moved on your behalf. So if you're feeling the energy building already, if your heart is whispering, "This is for me," drop a comment below with 888 Libra to affirm that you're ready to receive. Don't just watch. Anchor the energy. Declare your alignment. Let this be your ritual of return. And before we go deeper, I want to take a moment to say something important. Thank you. Thank you for being here, not just in this video, but in this journey with me. Every comment you leave, every like, every time you subscribe to this space, you don't just support the channel, you activate the collective energy we're all building together. You're not just a viewer. You're part of this family. And this family, the Zodiac Whisper Tarot family, was created to remind souls like yours that you are never alone. So stay with me until the end of this reading, Libra. What the universe is about to reveal may just change the way you see everything, especially yourself. Now tell me in the comments. What guided you here today? Was it a feeling? A quiet thought? A dream you couldn't shake? Whatever it was, it brought you here for a reason. And now that you're here, let's begin. It's often in the quietest moments, when you're sitting with the weight of everything you've carried, that something unseen begins to shift. Libra, the timing of this reading aligns with a powerful truth. The energetic record of your soul has been opened. You may not feel it tangibly at first, but just like the changing of seasons, there is a sacred order unfolding behind the scenes. What you thought was forgotten has been remembered. What was overlooked is now being reviewed. And what was once delayed is quietly being released back into your life. In the language of tarot, this moment is symbolized by the Judgment card. Not as a warning, but as a call. A call from the part of you that has stayed faithful, patient, and quietly radiant. This card is not about blame or guilt. It's about acknowledgement. It's about spiritual closure and energetic realignment. It reminds us that your name has been spoken not in judgment, but in love. What you did in silence. The moments when you held your tongue instead of lashing out, the nights you prayed through your tears, the decisions you made to stay kind in an unkind world, none of it has gone unseen. Libra, you are ruled by Venus, planet of beauty, balance, justice, and sacred reciprocity. But even with your gentle spirit, you've often been asked to bear the harshest energies. You've walked through situations where justice seemed far away, and yet you continued to show grace. That, in itself, is an act of divine resistance. And now, the scales that define your sign are tipping finally in your favor. Not as some cosmic reward, but as a restoration of rightful balance. This is the moment when energetic equity begins to return. We live in a world where it's easy to believe that goodness goes unnoticed. That love is taken for granted. That sacrifice disappears into the background noise of life. But your reading today is proof of something deeper. What you gave away, your time, your patience, your steady heart, is now circling back. And not just in the way you gave it, but in a way that lifts you higher. Perhaps you don't need grand miracles. Perhaps what you truly seek is to feel seen again. To know that what you poured out has meaning. And that's exactly what this phase of your journey is delivering. There's something beautiful about the idea that in the middle of your daily routine, while driving, cooking, scrolling, you are being divinely remembered. Even in the clutter of modern life, where we're constantly moving from task to task, your spirit is not forgotten. You are not invisible. Someone beyond what you can see has never stopped believing in the beauty of your soul. And it's not just a person. Sometimes, it's a presence. A protective hand that nudged you out of harm's way when you didn't even know you were in danger. That unseen help? It's real. It's alive. And it's active on your behalf, right now. We all need a reminder that we're not alone in our efforts to live with integrity. Maybe it comes in a message like this. Maybe it comes in a verse you stumble upon in an old book. Maybe it's a memory that surfaces and brings unexpected peace. These are not accidents. These are gentle confirmations. I've heard people say that in the hardest times, they received help they didn't ask for, unexpected checks, kind words from strangers, protection in moments that should have gone wrong. That's grace. And grace doesn't need to be earned. It simply arrives when you're open enough to receive it. So, if you've been waiting for a sign that what you gave to the world mattered, that your name has been spoken with reverence, this is it. Take a deep breath. Let the restoration begin. And if your heart whispers, yes, don't just think it, comment below to affirm your moment. Type, I'm ready to receive what's mine. Because sometimes, the simple act of declaring your readiness is all the permission the universe needs. Sometimes, what changes your life isn't a sudden miracle, it's the quiet opening of a door you thought was forever shut. And Libra, that's what this moment is for you. The Ace of Pentacles is not just a card of money or luck, it is a signpost from the universe saying, you're no longer stuck. The energy is shifting. The delay is lifting. It's the green light after a long red. A promise that what you've been building in silence, what you almost gave up on, is finally finding fertile ground to grow. As someone ruled by Venus, the planet of value and abundance, you have always had a natural connection to beauty, harmony, and even prosperity. But the challenge for many Libras is not dreaming big, it's allowing yourself to receive big. You're generous with your time, your energy, and your heart. And yet somewhere along the way, you may have been conditioned to believe that asking for more is selfish, or that expecting abundance is unrealistic. This energy says otherwise. This is not about greed. This is about alignment. True abundance begins the moment you stop shrinking your desires to fit the limitations of your past. The Ace of Pentacles brings a practical promise: opportunity is opening up. But more than that, it reminds you that abundance shows up not only as financial gain, but also as validation, security, and the permission to finally invest in yourself. A new job offer. A delayed payment finally processed. A long-lost idea now reignited. A door opens. A yes arrives. And more importantly, you say yes to yourself. From a self-help perspective, this energy also invites you to take small but meaningful action. Abundance often meets us when we create space for it. Look around your life. Are there subscriptions draining your bank account that no longer serve you? Is there a drawer full of unfinished plans waiting for your attention? Revisit your budget, not from fear, but from power. Where you direct your attention financially and energetically becomes a mirror of what you expect. Start small if you must. Clean your space, rework your goals, visualize your bank account growing instead of shrinking. These acts may seem minor, but energetically, they signal to the universe, I am ready to manage more. I once heard a story about a woman who spent over a decade trying to reclaim property that belonged to her late parents. The process was exhausting, buried in legal red tape and forgotten paperwork. But she kept praying. Not out loud, not dramatically, but with quiet faith. She kept writing letters. Kept showing up. Kept believing, even when her voice trembled. On her 47th birthday, a letter arrived from the lawyer's office. The case had cleared. The property was hers. There was no fanfare, just silence and peace. Sometimes, the greatest blessings don't come in loud announcements, they come in sacred timing. You don't need to chase what's already been assigned to your soul. You just need to remain available when it knocks. Keep your eyes open. Stay engaged with your finances. Update your resume. Revisit that creative idea you shelved last year. Opportunity doesn't always come wrapped in gold. Sometimes it shows up as a phone call, a casual conversation, or a decision you almost didn't make. This is your reminder that what was once delayed is now moving. You're not behind. You're exactly where you need to be for it to reach you. If this speaks to you, take a moment, just claim it. Declare it. Type below, I am ready for my abundance. Not because you're desperate, but because you finally know you're worthy of everything that's been waiting for you. And it's closer than you think. There are times in life when your kindness feels like a burden more than a virtue. When you look back and wonder if maybe you were too soft, too forgiving, too willing to carry the emotional weight for others who never once asked if you were okay. But Libra, let's be clear, choosing light in a world that tempts you to be bitter is not weakness. It is wisdom. And the energy of this moment is here to remind you that nothing you gave in love was wasted. The Justice card appears in this reading not as a warning, but as a mirror reflecting back the truth that you've lived with integrity, even when no one was watching. You, more than any other sign, understand the importance of balance. But for too long, you've been the one holding both ends of the scale. You've tolerated the heavy silence of unresolved conflict. You've made excuses for behavior that left scars. You've given your understanding, your compassion, your time sometimes to people who had no intention of reciprocating. And even when your heart was heavy, you chose not to tip the balance with resentment. That kind of quiet strength rarely gets applauded. But the universe has been keeping score in a way the world never could. Justice, as an archetype, isn't just about legal matters or right versus wrong. It's about energetic clarity. What you send out eventually returns, and when it does, it often comes back multiplied. That doesn't mean punishment for others. It means that your role in holding the line of grace has not gone unnoticed. You're being released from the invisible weight you've carried, not because someone finally admitted they were wrong, but because you no longer need their recognition to feel whole. One of the most powerful things you can do for your emotional health is to let go of needing closure from people who can't meet you at your level. Forgiveness isn't about them. It never was. Forgiveness is about freeing yourself from the responsibility of carrying someone else's shadow. In self-healing work, we call this conscious detachment, the act of choosing your own peace over someone else's silence. You don't need to chase an apology. You don't need to defend your side of the story. You lived it. And that's enough. If this resonates with you, try this small but powerful act. Write a letter to yourself. Thank yourself for staying soft when you were tempted to shut down. Thank yourself for showing up when it would have been easier to disappear. Thank yourself for being the kind of person you always wished others would be to you. You don't need validation. You need recognition from within. And that starts with honoring your own heart. Another gentle exercise that can help is visualization. Close your eyes, take a breath, and imagine a cord between you and the person or memory that still lingers in your energy field. Then, imagine gently cutting that cord, not with anger, but with compassion. Tell yourself, I choose peace. I release the need to carry this any longer. It's not magic, it's mindfulness. It's how we reclaim our power, one intentional thought at a time. Sometimes, divine timing looks like someone walking away and you not chasing them. Sometimes it looks like an email you never send, a conversation you no longer need to have. That's not avoidance. That's growth. And it's sacred. Remember, Libra, your sense of justice has always come from within. Let the world catch up to your truth. You don't need to prove it anymore. The balance is being restored not because you fought for it, but because you finally stopped holding what wasn't yours. Let that be your freedom. Let that be your healing. And let that be your reward. Sometimes, it's not the grand gestures of love that transform you, it's the quiet healing that happens in silence, when we finally stop chasing people to fill our wounds and start choosing ourselves with grace. This chapter of your journey, Libra, isn't about falling in love as an escape, or as a patchwork for past heartbreaks. It's about rising into love as a reflection of the person you've become, whole, wise, and willing to share your light, not your scars. With the Two of Cups, Ace of Cups, and the Star, the message is undeniable. Love is on its way, or perhaps, it's already here, watching you from a distance, waiting until your heart was ready, not desperate. The Two of Cups tells us this is no ordinary connection. It's a soul-to-soul recognition, but this time, it comes after both souls have done the inner work. The clinging, the begging, the settling theory over. This is a mutual offering. An emotional partnership formed not in chaos, but in clarity. Meanwhile, the Ace of Cups reveals a divine outpouring of emotion and purity. It's the first drop of something sacred, an invitation to begin again, not because you've forgotten the past, but because you've forgiven it. And the star reminds you, you've been healing longer than you realize. There's light pouring into your life now from unseen places, because you finally chose to show up for yourself when it mattered most. Let's be clear, this connection, whether it's new or a reunion of sorts, isn't returning so you can be loved. It's returning because you now understand that you are love. There is a big difference between needing love and radiating it. You're about to experience love that doesn't trigger your survival wounds but mirrors your evolution. A person who speaks your language not because they studied it, but because they were born fluent in the rhythm of your soul. Now is the time to start cultivating gratitude toward yourself, every single day. When you wake up, before the demands of the world rush in, try placing your hand over your heart and whispering, "Thank you for surviving the seasons that tried to break me." This simple practice anchors you in self-love without conditions. And when the world gets loud again, let your inner voice be louder, "I am love. I am worthy of love that feels safe, sacred, and free." One of the most overlooked truths in the law of attraction is this: you don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. If you still carry unworthiness, you'll attract relationships that confirm it. But when you become peace, you draw in someone who values harmony. When you embody joy, you magnetize a partner who doesn't want to dim your light, but amplify it. This is not the time to doubt if you're ready for real love. You are. Because love isn't coming to rescue you anymore. It's coming to meet you. You've raised your frequency by healing, by releasing the patterns that made you settle, and by no longer letting old versions of you choose your next chapter. That's powerful. That's magnetic. That's divine timing in action. And if you felt alone on this journey, know this: it was never punishment. It was preparation. There are unseen hands guiding you, aligning the hearts meant to meet yours, not just for romance, but for spiritual co-creation. In a world obsessed with temporary affection, you are being prepared for eternal resonance. So open your heart, not in fear of being hurt again, but in celebration that you've grown beyond what once hurt you. The next time you say, "I love you," it will be with your whole self. And the person who hears it will have earned the right to hold your heart. The winds of change do not always arrive with noise, they often come softly, through the gentle stirrings of the soul that whisper, "It's time." In the presence of the Empress and the Magician, we are not just observers of our reality, we are its creators. These archetypes invite us to stop waiting for miracles and recognize the miracle unfolding within us. You, dear Libra, have always been the fertile soil, the seed, and the rain. Every tear shed, every moment of faith in the unseen, these were not in vain. They were the sacred ingredients of your transformation. And now you're blooming in places you thought were ruined. Imagine your past like a forgotten garden, plans left behind, relationships faded, your voice quieted. But the Empress says nothing truly dies in you. Dreams that once curled in silence beneath the soil are rising again. Something new is growing from the very place you once gave up. You see, you never needed someone to arrive and rescue you. You were the rescuer. You were the magician, waiting for the right moment to remember your power. You didn't need a wand. Your will is the wand. Your imagination is the spell. This is the part of the journey where you're being asked to revisit what you thought was over. That creative project you shelved, the class you were too afraid to teach, the words you wanted to write, the spiritual practice you abandoned, all of these are now calling you back. Why? Because now you are ready to birth what the old version of you could only dream of. The Empress doesn't beg for recognition. She embodies it. She doesn't hustle, she attracts, nourishes, and allows life to unfold in divine rhythm. This is your season to trust the rhythm. You are also being gently reminded that the energy you poured into others, the prayers, the kindness, the silent support, you will reap from those seeds, even if you don't remember planting them. This is a golden harvest season, not only for your finances or your career, but for your spirit. Divine timing has never forgotten you. And while you might be used to giving, now the universe is asking you to open your hands and receive. Do you believe you're worthy of receiving beauty without struggle? Do you believe in ease? Because ease doesn't mean laziness, it means alignment. When the magician aligns his thoughts, words, and actions, miracles become normal. Some of you may wonder, how can I start again after all that I've lost? And the answer is hidden in something as simple as a blank page, an empty canvas, a quiet walk where your soul begins to speak again. You can't hear it if you're rushing through life, distracted and disconnected. This is why quiet moments matter. Sometimes God speaks not in lightning but in stillness. In the subtle synchronicities. In the tug at your heart that says, come back to yourself. If you've been too busy to pray, then pause. If you've been too tired to dream, then rest. If your heart has been too guarded to receive love again, then soften. There are no penalties for being human. But there are divine rewards for those who choose to return to their center. Heaven is not only above you, it is within you, watching, guiding, and celebrating every step you take back toward your divine design. Write again. Dance again. Ask again. Create again. Trust again. And when you do, you'll realize you were never lost. You were just being rerouted toward a better version of the dream, a dream that includes your voice, your joy, your magic. The Empress is not here to wait for approval. She's here to remind you, you already are the one. And the magician? He smiles, because he knows you've remembered. So take the first step. What will you plant today that your future self will thank you for? What light are you willing to offer the world, not because you have to, but because it overflows from within you? Leave your answer in the comments. Affirm your return. Anchor your light. And remember, Libra, you are the miracle. And so, dear Libra, after everything we've walked through together, financial injustice, withheld blessings, emotional wounds, broken promises, lost time, you're finally standing at the edge of something magnificent. Not because someone gave it to you, but because you earned it. There is a sacred truth the universe has been whispering into your soul this whole time: you were never forgotten. Every tear you cried in silence. Every kind act you gave without recognition. Every sacrifice that went unseen. They were recorded. Not by man, but by something greater. And now, it's time. Not just for money to return. Not just for someone to say, I'm sorry. But for a cosmic balancing of the scales. Your sign is not just about harmony, it's about divine order. And today, that order is being restored in your favor. But here's something deeper. This return is not random. It's not luck. It's not charity. It is a sacred reversal of energetic debt. The spiritual ledger has turned a page. And those who owe you energetically, emotionally, spiritually, they are now being compelled to repay. Through people, through opportunities, through unexpected miracles. The question is, will you be ready to receive it? If you're watching this, it's not by accident. The universe aligned this exact moment so you would hear these words. So you would remember who you are. You are not the one who waits for miracles. You are the miracle. So, Libra, are you ready to receive all that was withheld? Write in the comments, 888 Libra, I am ready to receive. Let that number unlock the gate. Anchor your commitment to this new cycle. And if you feel it in your spirit, share your affirmation. Write it out. Speak it aloud. Place it somewhere visibly in your fridge, your phone wallpaper, your journal. Let it remind you daily, I choose to receive. I no longer apologize for my abundance. Let me leave you with this, everything they owed you is coming back. And heaven is watching over the entire process. You don't need to chase it. You only need to open your arms. You have waited long enough. From my heart to yours, thank you for walking this journey with me today. If this message stirred something deep inside, let me know in the comments. I read every one. If you're feeling aligned, subscribe to the channel, give this video a like, and share it with someone else who needs this message. Help spread the light. Help someone else remember who they are. You are the balance. You are the beauty. You are the divine scale that turns even pain into purpose. Never forget that. This is Zodiac Whisper Tarot, and I believe in your miracle. Now go claim it. You may read this as your decree aloud or write it down to keep near you every day. I, the eternal soul of Libra, open myself to divine justice and wealth. I am light. I am balance. I am love. Everything I've sacrificed is now being returned as miracles. I no longer seek permission to live fully. I choose to receive.